Oh, wow. A lot of people joined. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Y'all probably don't want to spend your whole morning with us. I mean, but if you do, we'll be here. So thank you. And I know that y'all are all here just because you want to hear about water conservation and stuff, not because it's mandated by the program. So having said that, thank y'all for coming. My name is Whitney Milberger, and I'm the Conservation and Communications person for the North Fort Bend Water Authority. I'm the one always bothering y'all with all the emails. And then also, there's so many people. This is so cool. On our screen, representing North Fort Bend, we have Miriam Valdez here, who makes everything beautiful that you see coming across for the public. I see Director Dana Hollingsworth on here. Dana, thank you for joining us. I see an authority engineer, Julia Frankovich, is on here. And so everyone here can answer the questions that I definitely can't. Matt Freilich should be here. Hopefully he will be in just a minute. He's the authority engineer as well. And Aubrey Briscoe should be here as well with AVHR. So we got the whole crew here. So any questions y'all have, please feel free to ask. And what I'm hoping this can be, y'all, is just an open discussion. And I'll get into the who, what, and why, and what I'm hoping we can accomplish with this. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. And did I miss anyone on the NFPWA team on here? We're all a team. Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's get started. So thank you for joining the first of this year water conservation webinar. So what we're going to talk about today is, of course, first I have to open up. I will open it up with the definition of subsidence and what that is and why we exist, because it's what it's important to remind everyone the who, what, and why we are here, and not just, taking your money for no reason. So that's what we'll start off with. And then we're going to get into some infrastructure updates. Everyone always wants to know, where we are with all these big regional projects. And then for me, the meat of the program, as we're planning the next, 5 years of how we're going to administer the water conservation program, and then a couple of hot off the press items and discussion. So what I am hoping for, you are welcome to use the chat, but I'm asking, hey, just jump in if you have a question at any time, right? Instead of having to save it all for the end, and we don't want to miss anything. I'm asking my team here to help me as well. If you can answer, I know y'all are a lot more fluent at things than I am. And so open dialogue, please, as we go. So have to always start off with subsidence, what it is. So it literally means to sink, to fall to the bottom, to settle. So that picture on the left is the San Jacinto Monument. The USGS reports it's had more than 10 feet of land subsidence, so of sinking. And approximately 100 to 200 acres of the original historic marshland sank and became permanently submerged under the bay before undergoing restoration projects. So that's a good visual for us to see, and if you've ever visited it, the how it really does affect a geographical region. And then the poster child in the middle and on the right that we always talk about is that Brownwood subdivision, over 8 feet of subsidence. And the picture on the right is a picture of man that is what we know today as the Baytown Nature Center. And so the scale he's standing next to shows the level of subsidence that's occurred from 1915 to 2021, over 8 feet. So it's real, it happens, hence getting into why we are here. And we're always looking for cool animations, way to explain. Julia in our office has made some cool stuff before, and I just happened to find this last week. We shared it on Instagram, but here's another animation of what subsidence is.
Groundwater is often pumped from wells that draw from aquifers. In some areas, these aquifers are made up of layers of sand, silt, and clay saturated with water. As groundwater is pumped, water levels drop and clay and silt compact. That causes the land above to sink. a process called subsidence. That can damage buildings and roads, increase flood risks, and reduce the aquifer's ability to store water.
And there you have it. So we just found that one last week, and it's a really good one. So if you want to grab it, Miriam, I think it's on our Instagram page. So we invite you to share that with your constituents. So the timeline of how everything occurred, the creation of the Harris-Galveston Subsidence District was in 1975. I noticed it was moving westward, so the Fort Bend Subsidence District came in 1989. In 2003, the Subsidence District adopted the 2003 regulatory plan, and then we were created in 2005. We are in Area A of the Subsidence District, and the requirements were for our submission of our groundwater reduction plan by 2008. And that first conversion was 30% in 2014, which we met in a timely manner. And then this next one, you'll notice the difference in the time right here is 60% by 2030. That was increased. And so our mission, which is why we get so much into those second parts, is to provide an alternative of plentiful source of water from multiple sources for all of us. And then our board solely loves focusing, because it's so important, on the conservation and education aspect to help teach people for preservation. So starting with the provide part real quick, just to give you an info. Hey, Matt, that's I just saw your screen. Come on. To start with the provide is the man who actually knows this stuff like better than the back of his hand. I asked Matt Frey, like our authority engineer, to give y'all an update on where we are with our infrastructure projects. Hey, Matt.
Good morning, and perfect timing. I was having some Zoom issues as I was a few minutes late, but glad to join everybody this morning. Yes, thanks, Whitney. I'll run us through some updates of kind of where we are at. Enjoy doing this because we've made a lot of progress over the years, especially on some of the regional projects, and we'll talk about some of the specifics of those. But here on this map, we've done our best to depict some of those regional projects. Existing facilities is our Bel Air pump station. It's indicated with that little blue, they're little water tanks. They might be kind of hard to see on your screen, but there's a blue one kind of right in the middle of the screen. Our Bel Air pump station and transmission line. So all of the blue solid lines are existing lines. Dashed lines are proposed lines that are either in design or will be in design sometime in the future. And then the Loose Bayou Interbasin Transfer Project. And that's not quite shown on this picture. It would be up in the very far northeast corner or top right corner. It's what transfers water from the Trinity River over to the San Jacinto River. And I'll give some details on that here in a second. Current projects that are underway or are very close to nearing completion are the Northeast Water Purification Plant expansion. That's a mouthful. Up on Lake Houston, it's kind of depicted there in the very northeast corner of the map. The Surface Water Supply Project, which is not the southernmost kind of jagged orange line, but the other one's going across North Houston and then down just outside the Beltway. Those are the Surface Water Supply Project. And so those are, it's a project that we're partnering with West Harris County Regional Water Authority on to take water from the Northeast plant and bring it over to their system and to our system as well, both at Bel Air and then at a meter station just outside of 99 and south of I-10. And then, as I mentioned, our current projects, all the internal transmission lines that will connect to future water plants. Whitney, if you can kick us to the next slide. So I mentioned the Bel Air pump station. The picture there is as it exists today, although if you widen this picture a little bit to the right or to the east, There is more to the plant site, but there's also some activity going on out there right now. So as it exists, we have a 48-inch intake from the city of Houston. That was that jagged line coming across. We have a 48-inch at the very end of that that brings water from the city of Houston, surface water from the city of Houston into this plant and into those 3 5 million-gallon storage tanks. We've got room on the site for 2 more. Potentially a third one if we shrink down the size a little bit. We're taking up some of that space with some of the improvements that are currently underway. But to give you an idea of perspective, if you're familiar with your water plants and your muds, many times those tanks are around 500,000 gallons, and so this one is that much bigger than those, about 20 times larger. So not only taller, but plenty wider than your typical ground storage tanks at mud water plants. It has 6 5,600 gallon per minute booster pumps. It rotates through those, but those are there to meet our ultimate capacity. And those, again, as you would guess, are significantly larger than what you might see at a typical mud water plant. I mentioned the current construction that's going on there. Right now, we are in the middle of construction on what we're calling the phase 2 improvements. This was basically to get the pump station ready to receive water through that surface water supply project. And so we're constructing a 4th ground storage tank, same size as the other ones. It's actually going to be on the north side next to the 2 up at the top. It'll be just to the right of those. And then we're adding some chemical facilities, a small building with some controls and chemical injection equipment to be able to not treat, but trim and increase the residual of the disinfectant in the surface water coming in as needed. We don't anticipate needing to add too much, but need that ability anyways for it to come in. So once that project is complete, as well as the surface water supply project, and I'll talk about that some more in a second, we'll have 2 sources of water. One, the 48-inch coming in from the city, and then the 42-inch coming from the surface water supply project. And all that construction is happening just to the west. Our big meter station where the water comes in from the city of Houston is to the west of this project or this picture. And to give you an idea in the area, if you're familiar with what's called what I've seen the sign say, the International District, our pump station is on Bel Air Boulevard, right at Senate. And so I'd say a couple lights inside of Highway 6 on Bel Air Boulevard, and it sits just north of Bel Air Boulevard. Whitney, if you would switch us to the next slide. All right, so our existing system, I mentioned Bel Air Pump Station with the ground storage that we have there. It's a 40 million gallon a day plant rated to pump that much. That's where those 5,600 GPM pumps come in. But right now we're operating, you probably heard this in our board meetings, it's come up a couple times, but right now operating right around 19.5 million gallons a day. That's what our current contract with the city allows us to take. Once again, once the surface water supply project is complete, that capacity will increase drastically, and we'll be taking a lot more water through that new 42-inch that'll be coming in. Our existing transmission system, that's what's shown here with the different colored line segments and all of the little kind of aqua blue dots along the way are the water plants that are receiving surface water from the authority. It's over 50 miles of water line ranging from 48-inch coming out of the Bel Air pump station down to 12-inch at some of the water plants that are tied in. 38 delivery points serving 40 muds within the authority's boundaries. And then additionally, reclaimed water systems within the authority that, again, if you attend the board meetings, you'll hear me go through the groundwater reduction plan stats each month and the level of conversion. And so this is where that reclaimed water comes in that counts as 1.5 credits. So there's 10 systems, 2 of which are owned by North Fort Bend Water Authority and operated under contract by the MUDs that those are in. Sorry, I should have said next slide. There you go. Thank you. Uh, did we skip one? But yeah, or no, this is the right one. Northeast was the next one. So Moose Bayou Interbasin transfer project. Here's some pictures of it under construction. It is complete and in operation. It's been in operation for 4 or 5 years now. 500 million gallons a day. It's a huge number when you're talking about Bel Air Pump Station pumping out 20 to 40 MGD. That's because this is one of the regional projects that's being constructed in a partnership with all the regional water authorities, as well as the city of Houston. So you've got West Harris County Regional Water Authority, which I mentioned, North Harris County Regional Water Authority, and the Central Harris County Regional Water Authority. Now, for familiarity, West Harris County is basically from I-10 to 290 on the west side of town. The North Harris County is basically from 290 over to I-45. And then Central Harris County is just a handful of muds right around 45 and the Beltway area. Also partnering in this, City of Houston, and on their behalf, the Coastal Water Authority is managing this project as well as some others. But this one was a big pump station there on the Trinity River, pumps water into dual 96-inch lines that go, I think it's 3 or 4 miles to the west uphill, and then discharge into a series 20-something plus miles of canals. And that's what's pictured in the bottom right corner, is a series of canals that stair step it down to the far northeast corner of Lake Houston, and discharge it there so that water can then get into that lake, and we can pump it out at the Northeast Water Purification Plant, which is our next slide, Whitney, if you'll kick us on. And so I mentioned that's an expansion. There was an existing plant there that the city of Houston owned and operated that is an 80 million gallon a day plant. And if you look closely at this picture, whether it's if you're looking at the top one, my point of reference are going to be the circular spots or things you can see within the plant site. There you go. Whitney's pointing at it with her cursor now. Those circular dots. So the ones to the left that are kind of staggered a little bit, those are the existing tanks for the existing plant. Basically, from where Whitney's cursor is to the left is the existing plant, 80 MGD. Everything else to the right is adding 320 million gallons a day to bring it to a total capacity of 400 million gallons a day. In the bottom picture, you can see it's a little bit different perspective, looking out over and across, and you can see those existing tanks in the far back, and then the new tanks coming towards you from the picture's perspective. $1.9 billion total. North Fort Bend's share of that was $406 million. Phase one, we've been reporting this for a while. The first 80 MGD was complete in July of 24. Phase 2A, which was the next train of 80 MGD, was completed in January of last year. And then the rest of the plant, the last 160 MGD substantial completion was issued in May of this year, and they're working on closing out that project as a whole. So a huge project. This combined with Loose Bayou Interbasin Transfer Project, as well as the Surface Water Supply Project, and then what's referred to, I'm not going to get into the details on it, but the Northeast Transmission Line, which the North Harris County and City of Houston are building, are arguably, and I don't know that anybody's proved this, the largest regional water project when you combine them all together. Certainly in the United States, but some have said in the world. I can't prove that, but we'll go ahead and claim it. We're in Texas. We like to do stuff like that. So moving on downstream from the Northeast Water Purification Plant is the Surface Water Supply Project, or SWIS, as I like to refer to it in short. It's composed of 55 miles of transmission line ranging from 96-inch coming out of just downstream of the Northeast water purification plant, down to a 42-inch at the Bel Air pump station feed. So coming across in the picture we're looking at on the right, pretty much everything from where it says start to where the branch breaks off and heads down south along the west side of Beltway 8 is 96-inch, and then there's 84-inch running from that split over to the central pump station, which is the second little dot. Yes, right there near West Little York and Fry Road, the central pump station, which is nearing completion as well. It's actually in operation. I noted that there. So right now we've got segments A, B, and C, which are their big ones, the dark blue line coming across town, and the central pump station in operation. So West Harris County is pumping out. I think they said when I talked to them last week, about 15 million gallons a day into their internal distribution system. So North Fort Bend's not receiving water from that yet, but will be soon enough. So in order for North Fort Bend to receive water, a couple of projects need to be complete. A couple of projects are already complete, but those are the Kinder Morgan segments, which are the light blue line on the far west that's kind of angled down, crosses 99 and crosses I-10. That's where we'll receive water up at the north end of our system through a meter station there. And then what's weirdly referred to, we jump back from letters to numbers. And so segment 3 is that north-south line and then east-west line that runs along the west side of the Beltway down a center point corridor near Willcrest, if you will, kind of up and down from Westheimer, and actually not too far from our home office here. And then hangs a right and heads west to the Bel Air pump station. And so that's a 42-inch line that'll feed us there. That Kinder Morgan line is a 66-inch line. Overall cost just shy of 1.5 billion. North Fort Bend shares 555 million. I mentioned some of it's operational. Some of the projects, the remaining projects are complete but aren't in operation because either something upstream of it or downstream of it isn't complete yet. That's all moving forward, and schedules are showing that all of that stuff, as well as the repump station, which is the dot kind of right in the middle of the screen at West Little York and Fairbanks North Houston, just north of 290, is scheduled for completion in mid 2027. So by that time, we'll be fully operational and should be receiving water at both ends of the project. Next slide, please. So as for our internals and our 2030 conversion, overall cost estimate is $143 million for another 35 miles of transmission line, a lot of that on the north and western end of our system. Looking at this map, I mentioned before, all the solid lines are existing lines. All of the muds that are shaded in blue there are muds that are receiving surface water currently. All the gray ones are ones that aren't receiving surface water, but at least most of them will. The northern portion of them, as you see some of those dashed lines hooking around through there. And this is all out in the Falcon Landing, getting up into the Firethorn and Tamaron areas, as well as coming down through Cross Creek Ranch and Cross Creek Ranch West, and down south of 1093 in the new development Heritage Bend down there. And so we're going to complete a second loop in our system, kind of around the Cinco Ranch area, and then also have a third westernmost loop that'll go around in those areas I mentioned now. And those line sizes ranging from the biggest that we need to complete in order to take water at the I-10 meter station is a 60-inch line. Those are both segment 18A and 19 are 60-inch lines, and those are under contract now. And I can't quite say in construction. We're waiting on pipe to arrive, but once that happens, you'll see a lot more activity up in the Raisner Road and kind of the northern boundaries of the authority soon enough. And then trickling kind of works its way down 48-inch, 42-inch, 36-inch and then down to I think a little bit of 24-inch for the western extremities of the conversion. But started kind of this next phase of projects in 2020 with segment 11A, which is complete and will be in operation soon. And a number of other projects in design right now. Our next big phase, I think, over this next year or two is going to be a lot of construction, but then we'll also start the next round of design as well. Next slide, please. To get into some of the detail on what we've got going on internally, I mentioned 18A, around 2 miles of 60-inch and 42-inch. Got a couple of trenchless crossings up there in the northern part of the water authority, but a big project, the biggest one that we have as far as transmission line goes, is under contract, and like I said, they'll be starting on tunneling operations probably here in the next month or two, awaiting pipe to arrive sometime in the August-September timeframe. Segment 19 is running just ahead of 18A. It's under contract as well. 6,700 linear feet of just 60-inch line, running along some of the drainage channels up in the northern part of the authority to tie into that I-10 meter station. They're going to get pipe a little bit sooner, hopefully by the end of July. Might slip into August, but they're going to be starting tunneling operations here soon as well. And then, as I mentioned before, Bel Air Pump Station Phase 2 is under construction as well. Next slide, please. Some of our projects that are what I'll call shovel ready or very close to that might just be needing some updated approval signatures if they've been on the shelf for a little bit, are segment 13B, which runs into the Cross Creek Ranch area and is going to serve one of the City of Fulshere's water plants. Segment 13C Phase 1 runs along Fulshere-Gaston and will serve MUD 229, the Candela neighborhood, new subdivision down there. 17A runs down Greenbush. It's a 48-inch line. It's going to come off of 18A and then tie into the rest of the system going to the west. And then 17C is another continuation of that, a branch off. If you're familiar, I think it's a Kroger at the corner of Westheimer Parkway and around Greenbush. It runs behind that and ties into a water plant, so a short run there. Looks like we've got a question from John. You want to go ahead, John?
Yeah, my question is, what material are you using for these pipes, and what is their estimated length of lifetime?
Great question. Great question. Anything that's 20-inch, 24-inch, and smaller is likely going to be PVC. North Fort Bend has been in the practice, at least as long as I've been involved with it, of not specifying exactly what material a contractor has to use. We like to leave it open to a number of different materials that would work and that are acceptable to us, and then just allow the prices and contractors to be as competitive as they can be. On that smaller stuff, PVC is going to be the most competitive, and so it's I'd say it's a 99% chance that stuff's going to be PVC. Anything above that can be a number of different materials. Pre-stressed concrete pipe, steel pipe is the most likely one that'll come in. They don't make PVC that big. That's why it's all the smaller stuff. But those are the materials. And life cycle, I'd say, most of these are probably anywhere from the 40 to 50 year time frame to beyond. The good thing is these lines are deeper. We're not, the number of connections to them are minimal because it's our transmission system. It's not like a MUD system where new connections can come on whenever there's new development. We're not a retail provider. It's just we're getting the water to the MUD plants, and so that helps prolong the life. The other thing too is with the cathodic protection system, especially when you have steel pipe, material, and then all the casings that we have to use throughout the system whenever we're crossing a roadway or crossing a pipeline corridor, things like that. We've got a cathodic protection system in place to help maintain those, so those don't degrade and erode over time or corrode over time. The biggest thing we deal with are really just the soil conditions out there. We take a real close look at them when we start things out, when we're in the design, so that we can put in the appropriate filling or backfill and bedding on these pipelines, as well as put in the cathodic protection that needs to be in place. But the shrink and swell that you get in the kind of soils we have in here, from periods of a lot of rain to periods of not very much rain, can really wreak havoc on these, particularly the PVC lines. The good thing is, though, that because they're smaller and PVC is cheap relative to the other pipe materials, those are easy to fix. On the other hand, though, that steel and concrete pipe, while it's more expensive to fix, is not as susceptible to the shrink and swell. It's just because it's a little bit more robust pipe. Hopefully that answered your question, John, without blabbering on too long.
You blabbered on long enough, and it was a good answer.
Good. All right. Next slide, Whitney. So a couple segments in design. 16B phase 1 is out there. If we've got any Mud 58 folks on the call, this is the line that'll take water up to their second water plant. 17B, continuation of 17A, kind of weaves its way along Greenbush, Gaston Road, and then along some detention basins to tie into 16B. And then 18B is a short line that'll come off of 18A at Raisner Road and serve Fort Bend 37. So those are all progressing through design. Like I said, there's going to be some more a little bit further off. I think that might actually be our next slide, Whitney, if you can take us to the next one. Yes. And so this is basically everything that I haven't mentioned that remains to construct for our 2030 system. As you can see, a lot of projects varying in length, a lot of the 42-inch, 36-inch, but then some smaller ones that are just tying into specific water plants. But a lot on the western side. Basically, all these projects are what's going to create that westernmost loop that we have through Tameron, Firethorn, Cross Creek Ranch, back through the Fulshire area, and then coming in down towards the new Candela subdivision around Bel Air and 723. So lots going on, lots still to build along the way. But yeah, a lot of activity. Like I said, I think we'll be in a pretty big phase of construction here over probably the next 5 years, with a steady flow of projects going to construction, and even carrying on after that. A lot of design going too as we push a lot of this forward. Biggest holdup on these, and I know a lot of you that attend the board meetings have heard me talk about it and have seen what I'll admit is slow progress on some of it, is the easement acquisition. We really like to be in our own easement that protects these facilities. As John asked earlier, it helps them have a longer service life, because by being in our own easement, we can control anything else that goes in there. And so if there's development and a line needs to cross our easement, we have the right to review those plans, to approve them as long as they're meeting our crossing requirements, and go there. So it really does protect our assets, but it costs money and it takes time to negotiate those, as you can imagine. We work with our mud partners and City of Fulshire, any of our GRP participants. Our rate order actually requires that if we need an easement from them, that gets dedicated at no cost. So that definitely helps out a lot. We try and do our best to minimize that impact. But everything else that's on private property or running along, say, a Willow Fork drainage district channel or some other drainage district channel, that takes time to negotiate. The private property owners are the ones that are the most. So we try and limit the impacts. We try and go where stuff maybe already is or run parallel to it. So I'm focusing on drainage channel maintenance berms, on pipeline corridors. The last place I really want to go is cross country on a track or along public right of way, because that's prime real estate for residents, for commercial properties. But sometimes there's just not another path to get to the spot we need to go to, and so that's a big struggle and challenge for us. At this last meeting, I was happy that we had quite a few that the board was signing off on. It's not always like that, but it was nice to have a bunch that got approved. But that's our one of our biggest challenges to getting things going. And I think that might be it for my stuff. I did see a comment in the deal. Yes, I'd be happy to come. If you'll reach out to Whitney, we'll coordinate and figure out a time, and I'd be happy to run through this stuff and give you all an update on all of our infrastructure.
And with that, we are happy. Typically, we'll come visit a mud board meeting or an HOA or something. We'll do that once a year. That's usually the max amount. But just reach out. That's why we're here. And speaking of why we're here, it's not a lot that we have the engineers and all the North Fort Bend together if it's not just a regular board meeting. So if you have questions right now about everything provide wise, please, we got Matt and Julia here who can answer anything you have before we move on to the important stuff. I'm just kidding. This is really important. A lot more important.
A lot of the questions we get are, hey, when is surface water coming my way? When is this construction project going to happen? Because maybe it's not delivering surface water to your mud, but it's running through your mud. Happy to answer those. As I mentioned at the monthly board meetings, we're giving updates on everything. But yeah, happy to come out. Any more often than the once a year, like Whitney said. There's probably not going to be too big of updates, at least specific to your mud. But yeah, happy to answer any questions when those things come up.
Thank you so much, Matt. Okay, last call for any questions on this part before we move into the conserve educate. If not, just reach out. Okay, thank you, Hefe. Okay, moving on. We are now going to talk about the Water Provider Conservation Program while we are all here today. So brief overview, like I said in the very beginning of this meeting, conservation was pertinent from the inception of North Fort Bend. Created in 2005, started public outreach the next year in 2006. We had our mobile learning lab not far thereafter. We started the Wise Guys, which most of you participate in 2011. Had our mascot, Larry the Talking Sprinkler, right after that, which has undergone a makeover, which most of you have seen. But what our directors did notice was we had all this outreach, but we needed something to directly incentivize our direct customers, which are GRP participants. And that's, your boards. These are all the MUDs and all of our participants. And so that's when the Larry's Water Conservation Toolbox program started. And it started with that same idea as if you were successful in the program, it used to be a point system. The next year you would start receiving 10 cents per 1,000 gallons on all of your usage. So the credits started being distributed in 2017 to everyone who was successful in that 2016 program. So we did the 5 years of the Larry's Water Conservation Toolbox. After that 5 years, we had stakeholder feedback. We talked to you all about what was working, what not, and we realigned with the same incentive, but renamed it too, because everybody's like, who's Larry? What's a toolbox? I don't understand. So we made it a little bit more direct to the Water Provider Conservation Program back in 2021. I'm not going to touch on this today, but we also do have that alternative water program. Matt touched on it with, we have 10 systems right now. If you're planning anything reuse related, please reach out to us. We're always interested to talk to the community about that because it's a great part of conservation. And with that, and again, if you questions, anything, just feel free to unmute or raise your hand, because I'm hopeful in the next couple slides this is a group discussion, because that's what we're hoping for. When we revamped the program 5 years ago, our goals that we came out with were to help increase board directors' involvement, because what we saw in the first 5 years was a lot of this, which is generally how it works, a lot of this was just falling on the operators. And the operators are happy to do the work. But what we were seeing in the community was there was still directors who didn't even know about the conservation program. However, when it would become time to get a rebate, directors would ask, where's the rebate, but not even know why they should have been getting a rebate. And it is our job, it is our hope that we serve sort of like in that pyramid, where we help teach you all, the directors, about conservation education, and then it funnels down to the community to actually get that messaging across. So we found that it was very important to get the board directors involved in this so we could help disseminate that information. Of course, to increase water saving potential and to increase community awareness about conservation. And so with that, we are currently identifying our goals for the next 5 years. And this is where, if you want to raise your hand, I have all the initiatives I'm about to go through, but this is y'all's show. I'm just here to talk on slides. So we are currently looking at that. Currently in the program, you have the core initiatives. So like this is the meat. Like if you're even going to be in this program, you have to do these three. And these three were determined because most of you were already doing it. They're effective means of reaching out to customers. What was new for a lot of you was that conservation committee, and that goes back to what I was just talking about. We asked there to be a committee on your board of directors because we were noticing that there were directors who didn't even know what subsidence meant, didn't know that we had a conservation program, and it is our hope that directors will spread that word. So we created in that meet that you had to have a conservation committee, and every May I ask you, your point of contact, for an updated list of that conservation committee. The idea of this, you've all submit whoever your point of contact is, they'll show me once a year that water conservation is on one of your board agendas, because it is just our hope conservation is not lost throughout the year. So it is our hope that it's not like the main point, but that it's there, and that it's being looked at, and that directors are open to finding ways that you can conserve water. We have the high water user notifications. This is it's been long term. It's been a very effective measure for water conservation, informing customers. What we do in this is we let the committee, you, decide. And on our May submittal, we say, hey, how did you pick what your threshold is? Is it the top 10%, the top 200? What we want you to pick, right? Because this is y'all's program. What I have noticed in the past couple years is that we're back to, because this is the way we've always done it. And I get it, but every 5 years I need to relook at why are we doing stuff. And so if you have feedback on maybe what you could see as an effective measure, or if you would like for us to provide examples of what we see as a more effective means, or instead of like just because the mud next to us does it, I would like to address that. And then we have the conservation information. Did I say that right? Yeah. So we provide, and I'll show you at the end of the meeting, so a lot of information for you to distribute to your customers. What we had to do, just because technology and times are moving so much, was instead of just having that message on that bill, we provided you digital content, website content, all kinds of stuff, and that in the hopes that you would put it through multiple outlets per year, and also in your, if you have an HOA, somehow getting the message out that way. Because everyone's using all the different platforms of social now, and that's where most people are getting those messages. So this is the meat, and this is where I see 5 hands raised, and that you are saying or not. And also I have a survey I'm going to show you if you don't want to talk here. I have a survey online that I'm hopeful, or you can just call me. You all have my number. Oh, hey, Randy. Randy has stated, I think another area we could target to help water costs with HOAs and their vegetation. Yes, sir. We're going to get into that on, thank you. And we're going to save that comment on the HOAs because that gets into the bigger theme. Yes. Any feedback on the meat? I don't know why I'm calling it the meat. It's just, it's like the day, Dana.
Hello,
Dana.
Hello,
Hi.
Whitney. Did you call on me, Whitney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was just going back to the high water notifications. Those tend to be effective because in those notifications we provide the wise guys, irrigation system evaluations, and give them other uh, recommendations on checking to find out why they are high water. But I think we could expand on that given the smart meters, that maybe in addition to high water notifications to also include leak alerts, the follow up of the leak alerts that are received through the smart meters. But I definitely think we can update that high water notifications to include other ways of notifying customers of high usage.
Perfect. Thank you. So what I'm hearing, it is effective. And like we get customers every day saying, I got one of these. What do I do? Or I can't sign up. Missy, what you got?
Yeah, I agree with Dana. So we do on all of our smart meter districts, we do include the ion water, um, sign up to set up for leak alerts, and so that kind of funnels to that requirement, and that has been super helpful. As far as identifying who receives that, I mean, when we first started this, we looked at a 12-month usage history and then found out like, okay, so the current, and this is back for Larry's toolbox, right? The whatever that district was, maybe the current threshold was only reaching 1%. And so then we said, okay, what is what's our goal? So we wanted to reach the top 15%. So what was that threshold? So that's kind of how we generally gauged it. For the most part, those numbers haven't changed in the last 2 to 3 years, just because that still is the goal, right? That gallon, whatever it be. But we had districts that were like 40,000 gallons. Well, I mean, big deal. I mean, yes, that's a huge gallon amount, but if you're only reaching 1% of your residents, so maybe it needs to be dropped to 20,000. 20,000 is still a lot of water on any given month. And then even in some districts, we were able to drop that to 15,000. So I highly recommend take a look at your 12-month usage history, see what is the threshold to get to the 15%. At least 15% of your residents should be getting a letter, because it's going to, like Dana said, it's going to funnel into your other requirements, and it gives you a good valid like eye on the usage of what because every district's different, right? You might have a district that doesn't have irrigation, a lot of residential irrigation. You might have a district that does, and so yeah, it's but at least it's a legit number.
Missy, could I ask a question? In those notices, and then Dana, you'll have insights on this as well. In those notices, are you providing any sort of um, like you're saying you're a high water user? Are you saying you're in the top 15% or you're using more than X gallons? Okay.
We say that you're using, I mean, in our letters, we say that you're using higher than the average customer. And I'm not going to lie, there are some customers out there that are like, we don't care. I mean, they
Yeah.
are adamant, right? They're just like, we're going to use whatever we want to use. Okay, you're still getting a letter. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not going to take your name off of a mail merge that happens on the back end, right? But this is literally just our tool, right? But we just say average than the average, customer.
And similar, we say you're in the top 50. It's not a good top number to be in.
No.
It's a bad list, but that usually definitely gets their attention, and we get the phone calls, especially the ones who don't normally get it. Just, the ones who routinely receive them, they, again, Missy's right. They don't care. They have spent $100,000 on their landscape. They really don't care to get that letter. They're just paying their water bill. But I would say the average consumer that receives it calls us, and they're very concerned. And so again, we give them a lot of recommendations on what to look for. Call for an irrigation system evaluation, check your controller, install an automatic controller that you can use through a smartphone, or it's like a smart controller. So
For $100.
right, exactly.
Well, and I believe they're eligible for a rebate. I mean, like if people would submit, because that's a controller, you could do it.
Yeah, yes.
Exactly.
And in my experience, in my past life, I learned that if you put more on a bill than that, it can cause a shaming effect, and then neighbors get mad, or residents will get mad. If you put anything more about the average person uses this, you put this, that backfired on me in my last job, because people take that as an attack, even though it's not. We're just stating facts. That was my experience. If you go much further than what that is, anything, Missy, on that? But,
No, I agree. And I will also say on our water bill, we already give every customer, here's your usage and here's the average for the district.
Oh, okay, good.
So yeah, it's a field in our water bill. And so they're already getting that. So the high water user letters is a separate mail out, but I agree. I mean, I'm thinking of one of the Cinco customers that just was adamant about like Dana said, they don't care. They paid for they pay their bill on time, whatever. But for the most part, the flip side is you will reach those customers that are like, oh my gosh, we had no idea we had a leak.
Yeah.
Or, oh my gosh, we had no idea that the irrigation system was running 5 days a week, because, for April and May, it was turned off, and now we have to turn it back on. And we had no idea what the settings were.
Thank you. Myrna?
One of the things that I also recommend is that a lot of our MUDs that participate in this program also handle the irrigation for their communities. And it's a major part because they're the highest users. So notifying the HOAs and those landscapers that are out there maintaining the irrigation systems to do analysis to ensure that all the irrigation heads are working properly, there's no leaks. It helps to conserve a lot of water that way, and that's a way of communicating not only to the residents that we encourage them, but we're also encouraging the irrigators to also conserve water and generate extra revenue from that.
Thank you. Yeah. Randy?
Thank you. One of the issues we're having here in Fulshire is with the Wise Guys program. Apparently, we're still adding streets and homes and neighborhoods here in Fulshire. When we've had people submit to have the Wise Guys come out, well, they don't recognize the address because the street is not on their maps. So if there's some way you could help us communicate to them to please try to keep their map system they're using updated as often as possible, it would help us a lot.
Yes, sir. I just saw Julia unmute. Julia?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the changes that we're considering for this upcoming year is every year have each participant in Wise Guys provide either say that the shapefile we have is accurate or provide an updated shapefile, because we really have no way of knowing that your service boundary has increased. And so if it has, and there's new addresses you want to include in the program, I think the best way to handle that is to have the district or the city provide that to us so we can update the system. Because otherwise we're kind of just guessing.
Yeah. We're
if
looking
it's
at
added.
the Water Development Board's database, TCEQ. We're looking at all the others, trying to figure it out. So Julia had that idea last week because we want to get them in. We just don't know if they're eligible And so for right now, Randy and Maribel and you have been great about that. Just if you hear anything, keep forwarding it, please, for these newer areas. And I'm getting the requests, and we are working with the administrator for the Wise Guys VPO. They're aware of it too. So for now, if you could just, our contacts right there, we'll get them in. And until we're working on that, we're aware of that. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, we get a lot of those.
Great comment, though. That is
Yeah.
definitely an issue we would like to fix.
Yeah, and thank you, Joya, for bringing that up again. Anything else? Oh my gosh, and we're just at the very beginning of the program. Okay, we'll go quick. I know y'all don't want to be here all day. Okay, this is the current a la carte stuff, right? So meat and a la carte. So we have the rebate program that we administer for you, and everyone I'm seeing on the screen, we administer it for your districts that I can recall. So basically, it says on our website, if your district participates in this or not, a resident buys something that's efficient, submits it with a proof of purchase, pictures of installation, everything to us. What we do is we verify all of it. And then we verify that it is a rebate. It's credible, and then we send it to your operator to ask y'all to credit that customer's bill for the next month. We're doing over 200 of these a year, and people really take advantage of it. And it's really after y'all send those bill inserts out. Do you have feedback on this? Do you hate this? Do you love this? Do y'all want to start administering it? No, we're happy to do it. Missy has volunteered. Any feedback that you have? I feel people like this, but you tell me what you know. Okay. All right, and Miriam is watching hands raised and stuff for me in comments. Okay. Community collaboration. These options work good. Yeah, thank you, Randy. Okay, community collaboration. So basically, if your HOA is having an event, if you're having any kind of fall festival, spring, anything in your district, invite us. I'm going to show you in a second our updated mobile lab as well. And then a lot of the Cincos with Cornerstones all around those surrounding districts, they do a big water fest at Los Enterras. So if we encourage you to partner with as like Tamara on 182 and 188, they're partnering up to do stuff together. So if you have someone near you, partner and have a conservation day, and we're happy to bring the stuff for you and add the mobile learning lab. The smart meter portal, most of you are transferring over to smart meters. So if you have community collaboration, any thoughts on that? Or do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it okay? Smart meter portal. This is for people who already have smart meters. What we see, and I know you all see as well, is residents have smart meters, but they don't know that there's a portal where they can set thresholds. They can look at their detection. They can get notified if water's running when it's not intended to. So this was put here to help with the intention of encouraging people to become more aware of watching that water, like people do with their electricity, right? And we ask that you increase that percentage, and most of you have already gone above and beyond of how many residents you have signed up for that. Any thoughts on the smart meter portal initiative? Okay, great. ET weather station. I think this is going to go because no one has taken advantage of it. The idea of this, we do currently have a weather station in Fort Bend Mud 50. And it's great because it's used in partnership with the subsidence district. The Water My Yard app that we have, that's where it's gauging weather data to help report for you all if your customers are signed up on the Water My Yard app. We use it for gathering weather data for the authority as well. And the idea behind this was instead of having a full Campbell Scientific weather station in your district, if you wanted to sponsor a smaller one that basically was better for rain collection because the other parameters typically stay the same along the region, it would help us with, because you could have one area in the authority that receives 1.3 inches and the other area receives nothing. And so, just help us better in that scheduling of the water in my yard. No one has taken advantage of this, so it is my thought we will remove this one from the program. How, if anyone has anything to say about this. Okay, wise guys.
Wait, Whitney, we have a few comments.
Oh, let's talk about them.
Yes. Before we move on.
Okay. Kristen, yes, we are working on more events with the Mobile Learning Lab. Thank you, Kirsten. Scott, do smart on the rebate program? Yes, Scott, smart sprinkler controllers, the ratio, that's one of the main ones we get for the rebate program. So, yes. Amber, I understand if I ever have to install another app.
And I think on that, another idea for smart meter portal, and right, we have the unique programming. So any ideas that you guys have about ways to use that data differently could also potentially count this way. So brainstorm on that. But right, I'm the same way. I don't like to install new apps. It's exhausting sometimes how many apps we're asked to install. If you're noticing that issue, maybe the district can take on how can we monitor this data and send out more notifications, maybe than just a leak detector, high water user? Like, how can we effectively use this data somehow? I think we'd be open to that as well. So sky's the limit. Come up with ideas.
Like because I pay attention when I get a text message about something. Like you're okay. Thank you, Julia. So hey, that's the a la carte. I mean, that's the unique programming. And then so there's Wise Guys. Randy, we heard your comment on Wise Guys. Any other thoughts on the Wise Guys program? Remember, if you do Wise Guys with us, that's a separate CSA you have with the authority. But since it is conservation, we include it in the water conservation program for you to utilize. So if you say, I don't want to do Wise Guys anymore, it's not solely with the toolbox. That means we have a contract with you that would need to be canceled. Maybe a social media share on those. Ooh, I like that. Amber. Okay, integrated water management plan. This a while back, so it was the hopes that people would start looking at their sites or the future sites if they were still building more holistically. And could there be plans, and that's my dog snoring in the background. I'm so sorry, Rosie.
I was trying to see if somebody else's was lighting up.
I'm so sorry. She's snoring so loud. I love you. It's her birthday. Okay. This is,
I thought it was Matt.
I thought it was one of us.
I see. Integrated a water management plan, thoughts of reclaim for the future, or if you could look at stormwater, like ways rainwater harvesting that you could look at using alternative water rather than regular potable within your landscape.
And this one, maybe we could think about just changing it to clear up that if you do a reclaimed water feasibility study, that counts too. So
right. Yeah, clear, because that does count. Yes, thank you. So that in the program, that was the pick three. So if you pick three and did this and you were successful, understanding that some of them if you aren't successful, but we see that the customer is really trying to get customers to sign up, understanding that it is customer dependent, we typically have granted, success for that, because if you needed 13 rebates and you got 11, but you tried so hard, generally we see, y'all are our customers, we can't control who actually purchased things and submitted rebates. So pick three, you would be successful, or the big ones we were hoping for, which are like true water, like big water savings, conservation issues, HOA water budgets. So creating a water budget for HOAs and their landscape, their water management, and then watching them monthly to see is the HOA staying within or not of their landscape. of their water budget, and that's based on environmental parameters through the cumulative year. With irrigation in mind as well, we had advanced irrigation scheduling, and this is where the HOAs, or for the landscape common space, people will use advanced controls and central control systems, generally with master valves and flow sensors. And from that, a lot of remote programming can be used for flow control and irrigation, where a lot of conservation can't take place. Did not see anyone take advantage of this initiative. The past 5 years saw one person take advantage, one entity take advantage of the HO water budgets because they already had an entity, or a consulting firm managing for them, watching their water meters every month. And then we have the smart meter installation, which a lot of you have participated in. Any thoughts on these? And while you're talking, I'm going to move Rosie to the other room because I can't do this anymore. So any thoughts on this?
I think they make a CPAP for dogs now.
She needs one. She's okay. And hey, Chester, with the expansion of data centers in Texas, what would be the impact of the supply chain as designed? Matt, you want to take that, or Julia, while I move Rosie to the other room?
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely something we're keeping in mind. As we go forward and keeping an eye on. I guess the one good thing, at least as far as North Fort Bend is concerned, although it doesn't solve the issue for our region as a whole, is that there's a lot of North Fort Bend, and I think the prime real estate, or the real estate that could potentially be developed into data centers, is already developed, and I think what's left will continue to be residential. However, if something were to develop in it, they'd have to go through us. Any well permits that they'd need, we'd have to issue, and we'd have to account for them. I think the good news, and Joy, you might be able to speak a little bit better to this, or correct me if I'm completely off base, but the authority has at least the rights for more water than we anticipate we'll actually need in the long run to meet our conversion requirement. And so I think there's some fluff in there. Should something come along that's a high user, we would have surface water to be able to serve that and account for it in our percentage conversion. It would probably be critical that we were able to serve them that water, a data center or whatever, as opposed to them just pumping and using straight groundwater or something else. But a lot of other things would have to play into that too. They'd really need to work with us on reuse and any other thing to limit their demand on the on groundwater, or just water that isn't alternative water. Julia, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think for North Fort Bend, definitely the big positive is there's just not a lot of space, like Matt said, left for development of a data center, so that does help us. But there are other strategies, right? Requiring a closed loop cooling system is a potential there for a lot of water savings on a data center. But yeah, overall, we do have the water available. If that should happen, it would make compliance maybe a little more difficult. We wouldn't quite have a buffer year to year on our permit, but we could make it work if we're talking about like one data center in our boundary. Otherwise, we would have to figure something else out. And, I don't expect us to run into that situation. If it happens, we will deal with it as it comes. But again, I don't think that that's going to be the case. And we do actually have an additional amount of water reserved at the Northeast plant that we're not currently planning to use in our system, that we have the rights to. So that is also a potential there. We have 7 million gallons per day of additional water available if we need it.
Thank y'all. Okay, so with all the initiatives I went through, I would like to ask if anyone on this meeting, if you have any insight you'd like to provide right now, If not, we do on our website, and I have a screenshot of our homepage right here. We have a survey up, and it's just along that top header where it says for water providers. We actually received our first survey response today, right before the meeting, so we're happy. But if you could, we want this program to be effective. We want it to be easy for, not you know what I mean, because we're giving money, but effective. And if you have ideas, we do have that unique program, but as I said from the beginning, our board wants this to be your program. For the first 5 years, we provided the points and what you had to mix together and do to make it a success. But so it was our thought, though, that we've taught the districts, given them different tools, and it's our hope that you take them and you make it your own program for your community. And we just want to be a resource for you. So there is that on the website. And if you have anything to say, just you're free to unmute. To finish this off.
Whitney, can I just chime in there?
Of course.
On this program that we're currently in, it's been about 5 years now. And the biggest change to this program was requiring a conservation committee, which I believe you all are a part of, so you're very familiar with that. Feedback on how that's going, ways that program could be improved, or maybe ways that if it's too much of a burden, like we want to hear that also. So please include that feedback in the survey responses. If it's going really well for you and it's made a difference, please also include that too. It'd be great to hear. But yeah, that's something I would like.
And we do appreciate all of you sticking with us through that last revamp. We did have some people drop out because change is change. But hopefully you all found that it's a little easier now after that change. It was our hope to be less work on the operators, but we love y'all and thank y'all for all you do. Reminder, all directors on the call, we have a toolkit for you. Anytime you're going to the public, we have talking points. We have everything you need. We have developed for you. It's on our website, or just reach out to Miriam and I, and we'll get it to you. We have copy for your websites. You all have websites. If you need to talk, because we understand you get so many calls and questions about our fee and the who, what, why. So we've created the content you can copy verbatim and use. So there is long forms, short forms. We have digital content for you, and it appears pictures of me and Miriam that tell you about the NFBWA. And we even have hashtags. It appears per Miriam's generation. We are doing that now. Go ahead, Julia.
And also any of this, it might say digital, it might say whatever. You can use this content however makes you happy. If you want to stick it in a newsletter, if you want to put it on your website, if you do have social media, want to post it there, that's great too. There's no restriction on that. So get creative. It's designed to help you communicate.
Yes. And the reason why it's going to say digital or print is because it's already formatted exactly for you. But like Julius, like how you need for that. But you do whatever you want with it. It's for your district. We have information on our infrastructure. We have information on the Wise Guys program. Water My Yard. We have bill inserts. A lot of you have stopped wanting the physical bill inserts because everyone's going electronic. But if you still want physical bill inserts for any of your stuff, just reach out. We have them for you on the, but you can also print them too if you want, on the rebate program, on the Wise Guys program. Reminder, 2 years ago, we created a one pager for you all about what does the NFPWA fee mean. There's a one page on our website. Blast this on any of your stuff. Put this on your water bill so people can understand what this fee is on their bill. Public outreach. Like I said, we have talking points for you. If you have to go talk to the HOA or at some event, it's all there. Or just contact us and we'll come do it if we have time and are available. So, or have your residents contact us. And we're on all the platforms. And then just to finish us off today, I want to show y'all our new mobile learning lab. If you haven't seen it yet, here's a video that the contractor who we hired made, and we just happened to find. Miriam found it the other day.
The mobile learning lab is a fun one. we were approached by North Fort Bend Water Authority to revamp this trailer that they had some exhibits in. And we spent months concepting first, and then we stripped the inside of that thing, and we built out this really amazing contained experience in this, I think it's a 17-foot long trailer, and it is packed with interactives. It's essentially a whole science exhibit from a museum in a box. The experiences inside, we love wheel-based interactives because there's something that happens to your brain when you touch a thing and move it, and then something else happens. It gets your gears going. So there's several of those kinds of interactives throughout. As you get to the back of the trailer, there's this really amazing pump interactive, and the whole back wall of the trailer lights up, and it tells this story about where the water's traveling, how it's getting where, and then there's 5 or 6 screens that have little animations on it, and the fact that stuff happens when you're touching these objects, like, I think really helps drive the educational part of it home. And then as you walk back from the back of the trailer, there's 2 more really kind of more fun experiences that we've developed in-house that we really love. The first one is, it's literally a whack-a-mole. Essentially, we built it the same way that they did the traditional one, but we just shrunk it down. We used a lot of 3D printed parts, some off-the-shelf buttons to make a robust yet pretty economical and super fun interactive. And then the last element is the scarf blower, which is installed on the ceiling of the entire trailer. And there's 2 paths that it can go, and you press the button and the motor turns on, the blower turns on, and the scarf goes flying around. And you watch it go throughout the whole trailer, and you want to try to track it. And I think it's different from how especially children interact with screens. There's this tactile element. They influence this thing to happen. And then I think that creates this kind of really fun, joyous moment. And just watching, my son play with it was like a revelation. Lo and behold, it creates joy. North Fort Bend Water Authority is going to be taking this trailer to all their events. They do a lot of outreach with local schools. So this will be parked out there for, primarily elementary school age. We'll come and experience this thing and hopefully walk away with not only a fun memory, but also hopefully some amount of takeaway of understanding where their water comes from, why conservation matters, and why we all have to do a little bit to make it work for everyone. That message sticks longer and has a better impact when we can pair it with an experience that is unforgettable.
And there you have it. That is, so we hope you reserve it. The other item that we're working on, we've met with a couple of districts right now, the operators, and we're working on having a community rain barrel sale. And now she's trying to get back in the door. So what this is, I have worked before in a couple of decades of this industry with this vendor out of North Carolina, and they have this rain barrel that usually, this is I think the Ivy, it'll retail, it's a great one for about $160, but if you do these municipal events, you do a bulk order, you can get them for a discounted rate. This is a example from Round Rock. I used to partner with them and do these. And so basically we have they make we would have our own website. And so it'd be rainwatersolutions.com/NFPWA. And so it is going to be an asset to where all of your customers can go and order rain barrels. And what we do is we have a 1-day pickup event. And we've been working internally on a location. We thought we had one, but we found out that it's not going to work. But basically, your customers are going to be able to come in on a Saturday between 10 and 2 p.m. if they pre-order this rain barrel, because we're getting a lot of requests about it, especially after all these rains. We're hoping to do it in the spring of 2027, early spring. They'll drive through and we'll load it for them. And it's the part of the thought process is if your district helps participate in this and promote it, that could be part of your unique programming for the next year, or if we have an initiative based on rainwater harvesting again. So areas that we are now focused on, so if you have a place you could think of where we could host this, let us know. So right now I'm currently thinking, because we'll need a place to hold the barrels for about 2 days. So there needs to be some storage there. So we're looking at different churches in the authority. We're not gonna have it at the Bel Air pump station because it's not in the authority. We need it sort of in our area. So if you have a gym parking lot or something that you would rent to the authority or let us borrow for 2 days, please let us know. I'm gonna talk to the KDYMCA. I'm gonna talk to a couple of churches, maybe Safari just for a holding space. and see what we could do. So if you have a space in the authority, please let me know. Okay. And Missy, Mary, Dorothy was the one who sort of initiated me finally getting back on this year. Do y'all have any more input on this? We've had a meeting about it, and I worked with Dale some on it.
We are still looking at that. Yeah, Dorothy sent out another email internally. Yesterday? So we are looking at it.
Okay.
Maybe some facility ideas too. So.
Yeah. So I'll create another meeting. If you're interested in getting involved with this, please let us know. It will also count towards your unique programming for this year's program. But yeah, let's have a big rain barrel sale for our community. And even though we're not collecting millions or thousands of gallons here, what it does do, it creates an awareness for a resident that helps teach them about water conservation that wasn't there before. So it's a minor step for a big purpose. So it's very effective qualitatively. So any questions on this? I know you're all probably ready to get out of here. I see Carl looking at me saying, when will it ever end? So we went through everything we had hoped for today, and y'all stuck with me and Rosie on this. We got thank you again, Matt, for all the infrastructure updates, talked a little about the program. Please, if I would love your feedback, or just call me or write on that survey. This is your program. We want to help administer it, what best serves your district while thinking of water savings. And that's, I almost want to say we're with the government, we're here to help, but I'm not saying that. Saying seriously, I think we've all worked together a very long time, and we do want to help you have an effective and good program. So just reach out. Any questions before we close? Rosie's yelling. Yes, and what we'll do, thank you for asking, Bob. What we'll do is this webinar will be on our YouTube channel, and we'll send you out an email, and it'll be there. So thank y'all. Stay in touch. All right. Bye, everyone.